Why do evil people smile? When they're planning to destroy you. The human brain is a prediction machine processing thousands of microsignals every second to determine who's safe and who's dangerous. But what happens when someone has mastered the art of hijacking these ancient survival systems, when they've learned to trigger your trust responses while simultaneously orchestrating your downfall? The most chilling aspect isn't the betrayal itself. It's the neurological pleasure they derive from the deception. Research in neuroscience shows us that when someone successfully manipulates another person, their brain releases dopamine in patterns similar to drug addiction. That smile isn't just a mask, it's the visible expression of a neurochemical high. They're literally getting intoxicated by the act of fooling you. Dr. Joe Dispenza's groundbreaking work on neuroplasticity reveals something even more disturbing. When someone repeatedly engages in deceptive behavior while experiencing pleasure, their brain physically rewires itself around this pattern. The neural pathways associated with empathy begin to atrophy, while those connected to manipulation grow stronger. They're not just choosing to be cruel, they're becoming cruel at a cellular level, one smile at a time. The brain's mirror neuron system, discovered by neuroscientist Giacomo Rizzolatti, was designed to help us connect with others by literally mirroring their emotional states in our own neural networks. When you see someone smile, genuinely mirror neurons fire in your brain, creating an echo of their joy in your own consciousness. This system evolved to build social bonds and ensure survival through cooperation. But predatory individuals have learned to weaponize this ancient mechanism. They understand consciously or unconsciously that your brain is hardwired to respond to certain social cues with trust and openness. They've studied through trial and error, through observation, through their own dark intuition, how to trigger your mirror neurons with false signals. They smile not because they feel joy, but because they know your brain will interpret that smile as safety, as connection, as reason to lower your guard. The sophistication of this manipulation goes beyond simple facial expressions. Master manipulators orchestrate entire performances, complete with vocal tonality, body language, and even manufactured vulnerability designed to trigger your protective instincts. They might share a carefully crafted personal story that makes you feel special for being trusted with their pain. They might display just the right amount of uncertainty to make you want to reassure them. Every element is calculated to bypass your conscious defenses and speak directly to your subconscious trust mechanisms. David Goggins talks about the necessity of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, of sitting in the fire until you're forged into something unbreakable. When you encounter someone whose smile makes your skin crawl, that discomfort isn't weakness. It's your ancient warning system functioning exactly as it should. But most people have been conditioned to dismiss this inner alarm, to override their instincts in favor of social politeness or wishful thinking. Consider Sarah, a brilliant marketing executive who prided herself on reading people. When Marcus joined her team, everything about him seemed perfect. He smiled warmly during introductions, asked thoughtful questions about company culture, and even brought coffee for the team during his first week. But something in Sarah's gut whispered warnings she couldn't articulate. His smile was technically perfect: white teeth, raised cheeks, even crinkles around the eyes. Yet it felt like watching a skilled actor perform rather than witnessing genuine emotion. Sarah's initial instinct was to dismiss these feelings. After all, Marcus had impeccable credentials, glowing references, and seemed genuinely enthusiastic about contributing to the team. She told herself she was being unfairly judgmental, perhaps even prejudiced in some way she couldn't identify. This is precisely the internal dialogue that predators count on: the tendency of good people to second-guess their instincts in favor of giving others the benefit of the doubt. Over the following weeks, Sarah noticed patterns that her conscious mind struggled to categorize, but her subconscious found deeply disturbing. Marcus's smile remained consistently perfect, never varying in intensity or authenticity regardless of the situation. Whether discussing mundane logistics or celebrating team victories, his facial expression maintained the same calculated warmth. His eyes, she realized, never truly engaged, and they watched, evaluated, calculated, but never simply connected. The science behind Sarah's intuitive detection reveals the extraordinary sophistication of human survival instincts. Her subconscious mind was processing micro-expressions that lasted mere milliseconds, facial movements, too brief for conscious awareness, but perfectly visible to the ancient parts of her brain evolved for threat detection. Studies using high-speed cameras reveal that genuine emotions create cascade effects across the face, with different muscle groups activating in precise sequences that are nearly impossible to fake convincingly. Marcus's manufactured expressions lacked these natural cascades. His smile engaged the right muscles, but in the wrong sequence with the wrong timing, without the subtle asymmetries that characterize authentic emotion. Sarah's brain detected these inconsistencies long before her conscious mind could articulate them, creating that persistent sense of unease she couldn't shake. But the deception extended far beyond facial expressions. Marcus had mastered what psychologists call emotional mimicry, the ability to reflect others' emotions back to them in ways that create false intimacy. When Sarah expressed excitement about a project, Marcus would match her energy with uncanny precision, but always just slightly amplified, as if he were turning up the volume on a recording rather than generating authentic enthusiasm. This mimicry serves multiple purposes for the predator. It makes their target feel understood and validated, creating a sense of special connection. It also provides valuable intelligence about the target's emotional landscape, their hopes, fears, triggers, and vulnerabilities. Every mirrored emotion is simultaneously a manipulation tactic and a reconnaissance mission. The psychological profile of someone who smiles while planning destruction reveals a complex interplay of narcissistic traits, antisocial tendencies, and sophisticated emotional intelligence. They possess the cognitive empathy to understand how others feel and think, but lack the effective empathy to actually care about others' well-being. This combination creates individuals who can read people with laser precision, while feeling no moral constraints about exploiting what they discover. Dr. Dispenza's research shows that our brains are constantly forming new neural networks based on repeated thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. When someone practices deception while experiencing pleasure, they're literally rewiring their brain to find satisfaction in causing pain. The dopamine released during successful manipulation reinforces these neural pathways, making deceptive behavior increasingly automatic and enjoyable. This neuroplasticity works both ways. Just as manipulators can train their brains for cruelty, potential victims can train their brains for discernment. The key lies in learning to sit with discomfort rather than immediately seeking resolution, to observe patterns rather than reacting to individual incidents, to trust your instincts, even when you can't yet articulate why they're alarmed. Marcus's behavior followed predictable patterns that Sarah's growing awareness began to decode. He never offered genuine vulnerability. Every personal revelation served a strategic purpose designed to elicit specific responses or information. His questions, while seemingly caring, always probed for useful intelligence about office politics, personal weaknesses, or professional ambitions. His offers of help invariably came with subtle strings attached, creating obligations that could be leveraged later. The turning point came during a team crisis when a major client threatened to leave. Marcus's response revealed the calculating nature beneath his warm facade. While others displayed genuine stress and concern, Marcus remained eerily calm, his smile never wavering. More disturbing was the subtle satisfaction she detected in his demeanor, as if he were pleased by the chaos and opportunity it presented. Sarah's trained observation revealed something chilling. Marcus wasn't just indifferent to the team's distress, he was energized by it. His pupils dilated slightly when discussing the crisis, his posture became more animated, and his voice carried undertones of excitement carefully masked by expressions of concern. He was feeding off the negative energy, drawing sustenance from others' pain while maintaining his helpful, supportive mask. This phenomenon has deep roots in evolutionary psychology. Some individuals developed survival strategies based on exploiting group dynamics rather than contributing to them. They learned to thrive in chaos, to benefit from others' misfortune, to see crisis as opportunity for personal advancement. These psychological parasites evolved alongside cooperative societies, always present, but usually hidden, waiting for moments of vulnerability to reveal their true nature. The neuroscience of duping delight and the pleasure derived from successfully deceiving others reveals why some people smile while planning destruction. Brain imaging studies show that successful deception activates reward centers in ways similar to winning a game or solving a puzzle. For certain personality types, fooling others becomes literally addictive, providing neurochemical rewards that reinforce the behavior. But there's an additional layer to this psychological cocktail, the sense of superiority that comes from believing you're smarter than everyone around you. Marcus's smile wasn't just about the pleasure of deception, it was about the intoxicating feeling of being the puppet master in a room full of puppets. Every person who trusted him, every colleague who sought his advice, every moment of fake intimacy fed his grandiose sense of intellectual and emotional superiority. David Goggins' philosophy provides a framework for responding to these predators without becoming one yourself. He talks about using every challenge as fuel for growth, every adversity as training for resilience. When you encounter someone whose smile triggers your alarm bells, you have a choice. You can be victimized by their deception, or you can use the encounter as a masterclass in human psychology. The Goggins approach demands what he calls embracing the suck, willingly engaging with discomfort until it becomes familiar territory. When someone's smile makes you uneasy, instead of immediately seeking comfort, by dismissing the feeling or confronting the person, you learn to sit with the uncertainty. You practice tolerating the dissonance between what you're seeing and what you're sensing until you develop the capacity to navigate these situations with clarity and strength. This process requires developing what might be called conscious vigilance, a state of relaxed alertness that allows you to observe without becoming paranoid, to remain open without being naive. It's the difference between being a deer frozen in headlights and being a seasoned hunter who can move through dangerous territory with confident awareness. Sarah began practicing this conscious vigilance with Marcus, treating every interaction as an opportunity to study predatory behavior. She noticed how he gathered information through seemingly casual conversations, how he positioned himself as indispensable while subtly undermining others, how he manufactured crises that only he could solve. Each observation added to her understanding not just of Marcus, but of manipulation tactics in general. The education proved invaluable when Marcus finally revealed his true intentions. During a crucial presentation to the board, he attempted to take credit for Sarah's work, while simultaneously highlighting her supposed mistakes and oversights. His smile remained perfect throughout the character assassination, never wavering even as he systematically destroyed her professional reputation. But Sarah was ready. Her months of observation had revealed Marcus's methods, his patterns, his psychological tells. She had documented his behavior, saved contradictory communications, and built relationships with colleagues who had also sensed something amiss. When Marcus made his move, Sarah's response was swift, decisive, and devastating in its accuracy. The confrontation revealed something profound about the psychology of predators. They're often shocked when their victims fight back effectively. Marcus's carefully constructed mask slipped for the first time, revealing the cold calculation beneath. His smile disappeared, replaced by an expression of naked rage at being outmaneuvered by someone he had considered intellectually inferior. This moment of revelation demonstrates why Goggins emphasizes the importance of becoming uncommon among the uncommon. Most people, when betrayed, react with hurt anger or confusion. They become emotional, making decisions from a place of pain rather than power. The uncommon response is to remain calm, to use the betrayal as information, to respond strategically rather than reactively. Dr. Dispenza's work on meditation and mindfulness provides tools for developing this emotional regulation. When you train your brain to observe thoughts and emotions without being hijacked by them, you create space between stimulus and response. In this space lies your power to choose how to proceed, rather than simply reacting from instinct or emotion. Regular meditation practice literally changes brain structure, strengthening areas associated with attention and emotional regulation, while reducing reactivity in the amygdala, the brain's alarm system. This doesn't make you less sensitive to danger. It makes you more capable of responding to danger with wisdom rather than panic. The practice involves learning to witness your own mental and emotional processes with curious detachment. When someone's smile triggers unease, instead of immediately acting on that feeling or dismissing it, you observe it with scientific interest. What exactly is your body telling you? What specific aspects of their behavior feel incongruent? What patterns are you detecting that your conscious mind hasn't yet categorized? This observational stance activates the prefrontal cortex, the brain's executive center responsible for complex thinking and decision-making. When you engage this higher brain function, you're less likely to be manipulated by emotional triggers or social conditioning. You become capable of seeing situations clearly, rather than through the lens of wishful thinking or fear. The journey from naive trust to wise discernment isn't about becoming cynical or closed-hearted. It's about developing the emotional intelligence to distinguish between genuine and manufactured emotions, between authentic care and performed interest. This skill serves you in every relationship, every professional interaction, every social situation throughout your life. Understanding the neuroscience behind manipulation also reveals why some people are more susceptible than others. Individuals with high empathy, those whose mirror neuron systems are particularly active, often make ideal targets because they naturally assume others share their emotional authenticity. People who've experienced trauma may also be vulnerable because their threat detection systems have been overwhelmed or confused by past experiences. But vulnerability isn't permanent weakness, it's simply information about areas that need strengthening. Just as physical training builds muscle and endurance, psychological training builds emotional resilience and discernment. Every encounter with deception becomes an opportunity to refine your ability to read people accurately and respond appropriately. The most sophisticated manipulators often target highly successful, intelligent individuals because the payoff for deceiving them is greater. They study their targets carefully, learning their values, ambitions, fears, and blind spots. They craft their approach specifically for each individual, becoming whatever that person most wants or needs them to be. This chameleon-like adaptability is perhaps the most dangerous aspect of predatory behavior. Unlike criminals who operate through obvious force or threat, psychological predators integrate themselves into their victims' lives as trusted friends, advisors, or partners. They become indispensable before revealing their true nature, making it difficult for victims to extract themselves without significant personal or professional cost. Marcus's strategy with Sarah followed this pattern perfectly. He positioned himself as her ally and confidant, someone who understood her professional challenges and supported her ambitions. He offered valuable insights and assistance, creating a sense of mutual benefit and growing trust. Only after establishing this foundation did he begin to subtly undermine her, while positioning himself to benefit from her downfall. The psychological sophistication required for this level of manipulation shouldn't be underestimated. It requires emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, patience, and the ability to maintain a consistent false persona over extended periods. These aren't crimes of passion or momentary lapses in judgment. They're calculated campaigns designed to extract maximum value from unsuspecting targets. Understanding this level of premeditation is crucial for developing appropriate responses. You're not dealing with someone who simply made a poor choice or acted impulsively. You're encountering someone who has likely done this before, who has refined their methods through practice, who sees manipulation as a legitimate tool for achieving their goals. This realization can be either paralyzing or empowering, depending on how you frame it. The paralyzing interpretation focuses on the injustice, the betrayal of trust, the violation of social contracts. The empowering interpretation sees it as valuable intelligence about human nature, about your own growth areas, about the skills you need to develop for future protection. Goggins would choose empowerment every time. His philosophy transforms every challenge into fuel for growth, every setback into setup for comeback. When someone smiles while planning your destruction, they're not just revealing their character, they're providing you with a graduate-level education in human psychology, manipulation tactics, and personal resilience. The education extends beyond personal protection to leadership development. Understanding how manipulation works makes you better at recognizing and countering it in organizational settings. You become more effective at building genuine teams, identifying toxic dynamics, and creating environments where authentic collaboration can flourish. Leaders who've experienced and overcome manipulation often develop what might be called protective empathy. The ability to care deeply about their teams while maintaining the discernment to identify and address predatory behavior. They don't become paranoid or suspicious, but they do become skilled at reading the subtle signals that indicate when someone's motives don't align with their words. This protective leadership becomes increasingly valuable in complex organizational environments, where the stakes are high and the pressure to perform can bring out both the best and worst in people. The leader who can distinguish between genuine struggle and manipulative behavior, between authentic collaboration and strategic positioning, creates safer and more productive environments for everyone. Dr. Dispenza's research on creating new neural pathways suggests that we can literally rewire our brains to become better at detecting deception and responding appropriately. The key lies in conscious practice, deliberately choosing to observe rather than react to gather information, rather than make immediate judgments to respond strategically rather than emotionally. This neuroplasticity works through repetition and reinforcement. Every time you successfully identify manipulative behavior and respond appropriately, you strengthen the neural networks associated with discernment and emotional regulation. Over time, this conscious practice becomes unconscious competence. You naturally notice red flags and respond effectively without having to think about it explicitly. The process requires what meditation teachers call beginner's mind, approaching each situation with fresh awareness rather than assumptions based on past experience. While patterns in human behavior are valuable to recognize, each person and situation has unique elements that require careful observation and analysis. Sarah's experience with Marcus taught her to balance pattern recognition with individual assessment. She learned to notice common manipulation tactics while remaining open to the possibility that someone's unusual behavior might have innocent explanations. This balanced approach prevented both naive vulnerability and paranoid suspicion. The ultimate goal isn't to become invulnerable to deception. Complete invulnerability would require complete isolation from human connection. The goal is to develop the skills and awareness necessary to engage with the full spectrum of human nature, while protecting yourself from those who would exploit your openness and trust. This protection isn't just about avoiding harm. It's about preserving your capacity for genuine connection. When you can quickly identify and appropriately handle manipulative individuals, you free up emotional energy to invest in authentic relationships. You become more available for real intimacy because you're not constantly wondering whether someone's warmth is genuine or calculated. The person who learns to decode the smile of destruction doesn't become cynical, they become wise. They don't close their heart, they develop discernment. They don't stop trusting, they learn to trust more intelligently. And in this transformation lies a power that no manipulator can touch, the power of seeing clearly, responding consciously, and using every betrayal as fuel for becoming unbreakably strong. Every false smile you encounter teaches you something valuable about human nature, about your own intuition, about the kind of person you're becoming through these experiences. The predator who smiles while planning your destruction isn't your enemy. They're your teacher, showing you exactly how strong you need to become, how aware you need to be, how unshakable your sense of self must become to thrive in a world where not everyone has your best interests at heart.